Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 16, chapter titled Krishna Chastises the Serpent Kaliya. Text 23. So we will see from text 23 to 26 today, because there are few slokas without purports. 25, yeah. So text 23, translation. The Lord remained for some time within the coils of the serpent, imitating the behavior of an ordinary mortal. But when he understood that the women, children, and the other residents of his village of Gokula were in acute distress because of their love for him, their only shelter and goal in life, he immediately rose up from the bonds of the Kaliya serpent. Text 24. His coils, tormented by the expanding body of the Lord, Kaliya released him. In great anger, the serpent then raised his hooves high and stood still, breathing heavily. His nostrils appeared like the vessels for cooking poison, and the staring eyes in his face like firebrands. Thus the serpent looked at the Lord. Text 25, translation. Again and again, Kaliya licked his lips with his bifurcated tongues as he stared at Krishna with a glance full of terrible poisonous fire. But Krishna playfully circled around him, just as Garuda would play with a snake. In response, Kaliya also moved about, looking for an opportunity to bite the Lord. Purport: Lord Krishna moved around the serpent so skillfully that Kaliya could find no opportunity to bite him. Thus the snake was defeated by Sri Krishna's transcendental agility. Text 26. So we can all repeat. Evam paribrama hata ojasam unnata amsam anamya tat pritu shirasu adirudaha adya tat murda ratnanikara sparsha atitamra padambuja akila kala adi guruhu nanartha evam paribrama hataujasam unnatamsham evam paribrama hataujasam unnatamsam anam yatat pritu sirashu adiruda adyaha anam yatat pritu sirashu adiruda adyaha tanmurdaratna nikarasparshiti katamra tanmurdaratna nikarasparshati tamra padambujo akila kaladi gurur nanartha padambujo kila kaladi gurur nanartha evam paribramahatauja samunnatamsam Anam yatat pritushirassu adhirudadyah Tanmurdaratnanikarasparashati tamra Padambujo akila kaladi gururnanartha. Mataji's. Okay, no problem. Mataji's. Evam, in this way, Paribrahma, because of the Lord moving around him, Hatha, spoiled, Ojasam, whose strength, Unnata, raised high, Amsam, whose shoulders, Anamya, making him bend down, Tat, his, Pritushirasu, on the broad heads, Adirudaha, having climbed up, Adyaha, the ultimate origin of everything, Tat, his, Murda, on the heads, Ratna Nikara, the numerous jewels, Sparsha, because of touching, Atitamra, very much reddened, Padambujaha, whose lotus feet, Akila Kala, of all arts, Adi Guru, the original spiritual master, Nanartha, began to dance. Translation and purport. Translation. Having severely depleted the serpent's strength with his relentless circling, Sri Krishna, the origin of everything, pushed down Kaliya's raised shoulders and mounted his broad serpentine heads. Thus Lord Sri Krishna, the original master of all fine arts, began to dance. His lotus feet, deeply reddened by the touch of the numerous jewels upon the serpents' heads. Purport. Sri Harivamsha states, Shiraha Sri Krishno Jagraha Swahasthanavemya. Krishna grabbed Kaliya's head with his hands and forced him to bow down. Most people in this world are quite reluctant to bow down to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Person, the Absolute Truth. In the contaminated state called material consciousness, we the conditioned souls, become proud of our insignificant position and are thus reluctant to bow down our heads before the Lord. Yet, just as Lord Krishna forcibly pushed Kaliya's heads down and thus defeated him, the Supreme Lord's energy in the form of irresistible time kills all conditioned souls and thus forces them to bow down their arrogant heads. We should therefore give up artificial position of material life and become faithful servants of the Supreme Lord, enthusiastically bowing down at his lotus feet. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura explains that Lord Krishna's lotus feet became red like copper because of their contact with the numerous hard jewels upon the heads of Kaliya. Lord Krishna, with those glowing reddish feet, then began to demonstrate his artistic skill by dancing on the unsteady moving surface of the serpent's hoots. This extraordinary demonstration of dancing skill was meant for the pleasure of the young women of Vrindavan, who at this phase of their relationship with Krishna were seriously falling in love with him. Namo Vishnupataya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Niti Namine. Namo Vishnupataya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaura Sesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we are continuing with the 16th chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where this beautiful narration of Krishna subduing the serpent Kaliya. Here the title is Krishna chastises serpent Kaliya. So in this entire narration of the 16th chapter, there is no direct chastisement of Krishna towards Kaliya. By his action and what he actually subdued him, like what we here saw in the purport, the servants of Srila Prabhupada have written that from the Harivamsha, it is stated that the Krishna forcibly took the heads of Kaliya and made him to bow down before his lotus feet. So that is the chastisement. And here again in the purport, we see that, that is a stark reality of the same kind of mindset we also are living in, where we are unrelentless, we are not going to bow down before the Lord and not getting surrendered to him. So the entire narration of this chapter is like a suspense thriller. Today many of the suspense thriller, what you see, what will happen next? There is always some suspense. When the lake was filled with poison, everybody was thrilled. What to do now? Nobody can enter. Even we saw from the previous verses that the birds that were flying over the lake were dying because of the poisonous gas that were emanated. So everyone was, astonished what to do now. And later Krishna jumped in. Nobody expected. Krishna immediately jumped inside the water. And then for some time he's not to be seen as well. That increases suspense. That what happened to him? Everybody is so worried that the small boy, how did he go alone? And in some of the previous verses we saw that the occasion was so planned, or was so planned by Krishna himself, that Lord Balarama was also not there on that day. So these are all adds up to the suspense thriller. And we will see there later what Krishna did when he was, now we are seeing this verses today, 3-4 verses what we saw, that how he subdued Kaliya and how he was able to, bring him under his custody. And later we will see that the Nagapatnis will come and praise the Lord, and they will, praise him with beautiful prayers. So it's all a beautiful narration of how once becomes surrendered to Krishna, then they are taken care of. Krishna is there to take care of us. But the only requirement is we have to surrender to him. Now in the first verse which we saw today, in the 23rd verse, there is the line which comes that Martya Padavim. What it says is that, Krishna Agnyaya Martya Padavim Anavantramanaha. So what it says is, the Krishna was playing like the way of mortals. When he jumped into the water, and for some time he could not come out, and people were able to see there that entire body was curled around the coils of Kaliya. Kaliya has completely swirled him. Now everybody was worried that it's a very big snake, and how is a small boy going to come out of it? It's not going to be easy. So Krishna was playing Martya Padavim, that he was playing like mortals like us. He was just enacting the pastimes to increase the thrilling, suspense thriller there. That, it's like I'm like an ordinary human being. I'm also trying like you. Let me try. He was playing like that. And the beautiful thing is that, Krishna, see the anomaly in life is so much visible here. We, the mortals, actually live like we are immortal here. We are all mortals here. And we always think that, we plan in such a way that we are going to live forever here. We plan for everything. We plan for our immortality. We actually have everything planned out, our health, our wealth, our everything has been planned out so nicely that, we think that we are going to live here forever. But the source of immortality, the person from which the immortality comes, he is playing around like a mortal like us. He is, wonderfully explaining the pastimes that, how the mortal should live, how the mortal should not even think that they can become immortal. Unless otherwise, the mercy of Krishna is upon us. Unless otherwise we have the Krishna's mercy, we can never become immortal. So, Srila Prabhupada used to tell this example that somebody has fallen into the well. Now, how he can come out? The only way by which he can come out is somebody standing outside the well, helps him by pulling a rope, or helping him by some other ways by which he can come out. So we are all living in this mortal world. And there is no way that we ourselves, but our own actions and planning, we can come out of this mortality. So in the same chapter, in this next verse, the 24th verse, there is again it tells that Nanya gatim nirikshaya. Nanya gatim nirikshaya means, what it says is that all the Vrajavasis were thinking that Nanya gatim, there is no other gati except Krishna. Nanya gatim nirikshaya. That is the way of becoming immortal. That what we have to think is that there is no other gati, no other way except Krishna, that we can come. In order to achieve that, what you need that you have to be ananya cheta satatam. Always you'll have ananya cheta. Ananya cheta means thinking every time about Krishna. In the village of Gokula, everyone, not even a single man or woman excluded, everyone was actually thinking always about Krishna. That is Nanya Gatim. Nanya Gatim means they don't have any other gati. They don't have any other thought. And what it makes our life much more easier. It makes much more life very easier, because the person who is, the powerful person, when we surrender to him and he can take care of us, then our life becomes much more easier. And that's exactly what we see in the verses of Bhagavad Gita, that, Ananya Cheta Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityashaha. So, Ananya Cheta Satatam, so every time, everywhere, we are only thinking about where no other thinking is there. Ananya Chetasa. In our thought process, there's nothing except Krishna. Yomam smarati nityasaha. So, Yomam, that only me. Yomam smarati nityasaha. And what is the third line? Tasyaham sulabha partha. Tasyaham sulabha partha. So, Sulabh. Krishna's name is Sulabha. In the Vishnu Sahasranam, there is a name called Sulabha. Tasyaham sulabha partha. That, he is Sulabha, very easy to attain. And, very difficult to attain as well as very easy to attain. Very easy to attain how? When you actually dovetail our Chetaha only on Krishna's thought. There is no other thought there. And what is he called? Yopi Nitya Yuktasaha. That he is called Yoginaha. He is called the Yuktasaha. That person is called Yogi. So, everybody who were living in the village of Gokula were yogis. In their thought process, there was nothing except Krishna. Even if it is Kaliya is there, even when Denuka was there, even when next time we will see all the other, difficulties were coming, or even when they were playing, when there's no difficulties also, even then they were happy, still they were only thinking about Krishna. So, that is the pure bhakti. And what he says is the same thing, that, that Ananya Chetaha. So what he says is, the other thing what he also says in Bhagavad Gita is, who is actually having Ananya Chetasa, that he will safeguard him from anything. Yogakshemam Bahamyaham. That, Yogakshema, what is Shema? Shema means that, I will take care of you. I will take care of you. What he will take care? He will take care of both, spiritual take care. What we are actually thinking is that how don't we can take care of materially? Yogakshemam Bhagamyaham, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Yogakshemam means what you need, Yogakshemam, is actually spiritual welfare. When spiritual welfare is taken care, material welfare automatically happens. But not the vice versa. Not the vice versa means that, when you actually take care of your material needs, spiritual needs doesn't come automatically. People who are actually spiritually well established, for them, they understand the importance and the non-importance of material things. But on the other hand, people who are having very much focused on their material possessions, for them, the spirituality looks like tuchchavat. It looks like, what is the use of going to temple? What is the use of coming every day? What is the use of coming and sitting in the classes like this? Why are you wasting your time? So, in the half an hour, you would have earned so much of money. You would have earned so much of other things. So, the faith has to come. Srila Prabhupada used to say that the son has to have faith in his father. The father will protect me. Father will take care of my needs. Father will take care of my food, my clothing, my living place. Everything will be taken care. Once the faith is not coming in the father, then the son starts working. Then the son starts thinking about maintaining himself. That's exactly what we are doing. Because we don't have faith in Krishna, what we are doing is that, we are thinking about our own things. We are thinking that how I will manage my future, how I will manage my children's future, how I will, keep some stocks, keep some plot, keep some gold, keep some money. Because who will take care of my next generation? We ourselves are taken care by him. So it is that, as if, we are going to take care of our future generation. Nobody can take care of anybody here. He is taking care of everybody here. Only one person is actually Ekoya Bahuna Vidadati Kama. That he is actually providing for all the desires of every living entity. So that is very important to understand here. That whatever we have or whatever we have actually achieved here is also not due to our our skill set or our own thought process. It's about the mercy of the Lord that we have at least been maintained till for whatever we have been achieved here. So that we have to understand that. That if we don't understand, then what happens is there is no difference between a karmi and a vikarmi. Srila Prabhupada writes somewhere, karmi and a vikarmi. See, who is a karmi? Karmi is a person who is thinking that how I will amass wealth, how I will, keep some plots, how I will keep some gold, how I will keep some money, so that I will be happy in my old age. Somebody has to take care of my old age. And vikarmi is a person who actually does the same thing, but in vikarma. What he does is, vikarma means he actually does this by all illegal means. by cheating somebody, or duping somebody, or by even doing all the other things that are not prescribed in the Vedas, or not prescribed in Shastras, not following Dharma Shastras. So he is called a Vikarmi. So the Karmi and the Vikarmi both are doing the same thing. But there's a huge difference between both, because at least one person is following the scriptures, following Dharma, but the other person is not following Dharma. So the point here is, if you don't follow both the persons, Karmi and Vikarmi, both will be subjugated by Krishna's energy. In the purport of this 26th verse, what we saw, beautifully it is mentioned, like how Krishna forcibly picked up the hoots of Kaliya and made him bow down before him. We will all be made to bow down before Krishna forcibly. Wherever we are, however we are good, or however healthy or wealthy we might be, we all will be forcibly made to, bow down before him. And in the purport, they have beautifully mentioned, that is the energy of the form of irresistible time of the Lord. That line beautifully explains that, the Supreme Lord's, Supreme Lord's irresistible time that forces everyone to bow down before him. At the end of the day, time is, the Kala. Sa kalena mahata yogan nashta parantapa. Is an inexhaustible time. What a line beautifully explained here is inexhaustible time. We get exhausted, but the time doesn't get exhausted. We all will get exhausted at some point of time. Here also, we will see that, Kaliya was waiting for a time to actually bite Krishna. He was actually waiting for a time how to bite him. He is dancing so beautifully. He is moving so agile. But what he was thinking is that how I'll go and bite him. But what happened? The inexhaustible time, he was forced to bow down before the Lord. So the important point is that we have to understand that what is that shloka which comes? Tasyeva hetu priyate kovidaha. Tasyeva hetu priyate kovida. Who is kovida? Who is intelligent? That one who is not moving from up and down in this material world. Saubariyatam, that he goes to the Brahmaloka, he comes down to the Patala Loka, or he becomes wealthy, whatever he is. But who is Kovidaha, who becomes very intelligent, Tasyeva hetu priyateta Kovidaha. That he understands that there is no use of doing all the other things here. That in this world, there is no point in doing anything what I have been doing all this time. The intelligent man will think about like that. And what is the last line in that? Sa kalena Gabira Manasaha. Sa Kalena. Everything by Kalena, by the manner of time, it will all be, come to an end. It will all come to an end. Srila Prabhupada quotes an example that by intelligence, we think that we will be able to do what we have to do in this material world. By intelligence, we think that I am intelligent. I know how to do business. I will make money. I know how to take care of my family. So I will do whatever needs to be done so that everything is done properly. And he quotes an example, Srila Prabhupada quotes an example of a Marwari businessman. This Marwari businessman, what he does, he tells that once Prabhupada was in a bank. And at the time, this fellow also came up. He's a very wealthy man. He has made a huge money by his intelligence and by his proper understanding of doing business. Now what happens is, the man comes to the bank to withdraw money. And in those times today, we have all this mobile or, apps and everything. But in those times, you have to write a check. You have to write a check to take the money out. This man was an unpad, that he was illiterate, that he doesn't know how to even write the check to withdraw the money. So he came to Srila Prabhupada and told him, please help me, that, please write the check, and so that I can get the money out. So Srila Prabhupada says that this man was so intelligent that he amassed so much of wealth that he didn't have that basic intelligence even to write the proper check to withdraw that money which he has amassed. And what he needs the help of somebody else to withdraw that money. And more so what Prabhupada says is that that man has so much of intelligence that whom to trust also in that bank. That is the intelligence also is required. You have amassed so much of wealth. You have actually kept all the wealth in a proper custody. And you don't know how to even withdraw or write the check also. And in a bank, you go and give it to somebody else, and they write their own name and take the money and out. What will you do? So he had the intelligence to even understand whom to approach and whom to give this check to write and withdraw this money. And on the contrary, Srila Prabhupada gives another example, the same point, that there is another friend of him in the chemical business, in the medical profession, who actually went and learned this medical business in England. He actually had a very deep understanding. He went to England and studied this medical practitioner. So all the doctors would call him to even get some clarifications of how to do business or how to, prescribe medicines. And that man was so poor that in his house there was no utensils even to cook. He went to England to study. He went, everything to do properly. But in his house there is no even proper utensils to even cook for the next time food. So Prabhupada gives both the example that one fellow didn't go to school. One fellow didn't even know how to write. He became so wealthy because he had intelligence to even know how to do business. And the other fellow, on the other hand, went and studied all nonsense what has to be studied in the Western world. And he came back, even everybody is praising him for his knowledge. But still, whatever he does in life, he is not able to amass any wealth. So, that is tasyeva hetu priyateta kovidaka. Priyateta. What is the point in doing all these efforts? Kovida should understand there is no need of doing all these efforts. So, this is what intelligence comes. The intelligence is that, we have to understand, labdva sudurlabham, that whatever we have achieved is manushya janma. Labdva sudurlabham. Very, very sudurlabham. Durlabham, sudurlabham. So, we have become very, very, by the intelligence we have to understand is that by great mercy, by great, whatever punya we have done, we have got this human form of life. And what is the last line? The last line is Vishaya. We are spending our life only on having our Vishaya, our material sense enjoyment. Vishaya kalu sarvatyasya. That we are actually engaged of sarvatra. Always we are engaged in Vishaya. We are not thinking of anything else except sense gratification. So even to have a proper sense gratification, we need his approval. The same example, the fellow who actually had the entire intelligence, still, he cannot understand that, he is wasting his time in this material world. He went to England, he studied, he came everything, and he wasted his entire life, wasted his time. So we have to be very careful that, we don't waste our time. If any of you would have observed, if you go and meet Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, in his laptop, he would have written in the desktop, don't waste time. There will be written in the huge, big words, don't waste time. We are all wasting time in various ways, in flimsy ways we are wasting time. We are not understanding that everything what we do, half an hour is wasted, 15 minutes is wasted. There is a famous saying, Western saying, English saying, that, many times we think that he wasted my time, that fellow came and wasted my time, I would have done it properly, used it. The saying is, if you actually, somebody wasted 10 minutes of your time, 2 minutes is your fault. 2 minutes is his fault. What is 2 minutes his fault? Remaining 8 minutes, you didn't understand that he is wasting your time and you continued sitting with him. So everything what you are doing, you should be very well aware that how we are wasting time in many of the things which is not required. That we have to understand the values of life. In the old world, if you go and see, people are wasting time like anything. Watching on the phone, speaking something which is not useful. And, the entire world is running so many things which are completely useless. Completely useless. I remember an example that, how a very, very stark example of how somebody can waste their entire life, by doing something which is completely useless. There was this mathematical thing called pi. Many of you would know what is pi. What is pi? Pi, mathematical pi, they call it. There is an integer of mathematical pi which is unlimited. If you start calculating the pi, the decimal points are unlimited. How the decimal point comes is basically because you are actually dividing the circle of the diameter of the circle by its circumference. That's how you get a pi. A circle is there, circumference of the circle divided by diameter is your pi. Now, one fellow named William Shanks, what he did in 1816, he wanted to calculate the decimal points of pi throughout his entire life. So 3.14, 16, 17, he started calculating one by one, all the decimal points of pi. And his entire goal in the life is morning he will get up, he will calculate the next digit, and evening he will go and verify whether he did it rightly or not. So every day he used to do this only, that what is the next digit of pi. And what happened at the end of his life, he calculated the value of pi up to 700 digits. So 3.14 it starts, so 3.14, that's 700 digits he found out. And he died. Now what happened? What is the use of calculating all this pi in his entire lifetime? Nothing. After 5 years, somebody came and told that the 525th decimal what he found was a mistake. So the remaining 125 decimals which he found has already become useless. And even today, nobody uses the value of pi more than 16 digits. Even NASA doesn't use more than 16 digits. So what is the use of going and calculating 707 digits the entire life and not even understanding what is the whole of human life? The entire life became, instead of knowing the goal of human life, the entire life became a whole. He didn't know what to do in the life and went and did his value of pi for nothing. So what we have to understand is that whether what we are doing today is useful for our ultimate goal of life. What I am doing for this half an hour is useful for our ultimate goal of life. What I am spending this entire day, whether it is helpful for our ultimate goal of life, that has to be understood. Mrityu sarva haraschaham. Anyway, Mrityu will come. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, I am Mrityu. I am waiting for you to devour everything from you. Everything is going to be devoured from us. Now, whatever we have done, whatever Aishwarya we have got, like this intelligence, like this man who did pi, or the man who had a businessman who was not even knowing how to sign his check, everything will be devoured. Srila Prabhupada writes in another place that there are around 7 opulences. That 7 opulences are there in this material world. And the 7 opulences, each one has a beauty among itself. Each one has been considered to be opulent, that people try to get each one of them. What are the 7 opulences? Fame, fortune, very fine speech, and then next one is good memory. Good memory is also a fortune. Intelligence. What are the last 2? Steadfastness and patience. The 7 opulences, the last one is patient. Now, how you are going to be patient? And Srila Prabhupada writes, beautifully in some place, that all the 7 opulences are feminine. All the 7 opulences are feminine. If you actually go and see all the 7 opulences, how do they call in Sanskrit? They have a name which is actually feminine names. Fame, how do we call in Sanskrit? It's called Kirti. Kirti. We have somebody has a good fame. They have become very famous. And fortune, we call it Aishwarya. We have a great fortune, we have amassed so much of wealth. We are actually living luxuriously on this wealth. We have a good fortune. And the opulence. Third opulent is fine speech. Saraswati, walk. It is actually good speech. Somebody is able to have a very fine speech. And fourth one is good memory. Even somebody having a memory itself is another opulence. We need to have proper memory. It has to also need opulence. And why it is smriti? It is called smriti. We have a good memory. And intelligence. As I told, the type of intelligence is also one of the fortune. And it's called Meda. It's called Meda. Again, a feminine name. And steadfastness. Steadfastness means to know what to do and what not to do. Being steadfast, not, we are in sanchala. That is the steadfastness. That is called dhriti. It's called dhriti. And patience. We have to have proper patience. See, even patience is also an opulence. People who have patience in life are also opulent. And that is called kshama. So, even all the 7 opulence what we have, even if we have 1 or all the 7 or 2 out of all 7 or 3 out of all 7, all the 7 will be devoured at the time of death. Our patience will be taken, our intelligence will be taken, our good speech will be taken. Everything will be taken. So that Krishna is actually, somewhere else I was reading that Krishna is our greatest hypnotist. Krishna is the greatest hypnotist. What does hypnotist means? Hypnotist means the person knows how to, akarshan. It is, how to manage you, how to, keep you under his control. Krishna is the greatest hypnotist. Everybody was attracted in the Vrajadam, everybody was hypnotized by Krishna. Every moment they were hypnotized by Krishna. Here also, the Kaliya was completely hypnotized by Krishna. Later we'll see Naga Patnis, they were also hypnotized by Krishna. We are all here, we are also hypnotized by Krishna. Otherwise, why we should be here? Why we are spending their entire life here? Why we always think that Krishna is our goal of life? Because we are hypnotized. So, Krishna is the greatest hypnotist. And one who is actually hypnotized by Krishna need not worry also. Narayana parasarve kutaschana bibyati. One who has surrendered to Narayana, one who has surrendered to Krishna, one who has become hypnotized by Krishna, we don't need to worry about anything. Kutaschana bibyati. That we don't need to have any of this kutascha. Kutascha means any thinking that how will I manage this, how will I happen? Shoka. Kutascha means shokam. In Tamil we call soham. So that is also the time we become hypnotized by Krishna, all the sokam become ashokam, that it will move off automatically. We don't need to have any of the problem in life that, we think that how I'll solve it, how will happen, whether it will work properly, planning we have to do, tomorrow what I will do, day after tomorrow what I will do. All these things is there because this is what, Kunti Devi also says. Kunti Devi, what he says is that, even though we are actually in front of you, we are always with you, Krishna, but there is always some sense of, losing you always. People who are actually very well situated in bhakti, very well situated in Krishna consciousness, they think like that. Oh, for a moment may I lose Krishna or what? There is a possibility that I will lose Krishna for a moment. Now I should be very careful that I do not lose Krishna. So the point is that the Aushadam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says the Aushadam what we have is Krishna consciousness. And that Aushadam, if you don't take it properly or if you don't, use it properly every day, then Maya nasi baro legi. Maya will take us, immediately Maya will take care of us. Either we have to take care by Krishna or take care by Maya. So the only point here we have to understand is that, the entire thing is that we have to surrender to Krishna. In the future also we will see that the Nagapatni is first, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura writes there, when the Nagapatnis come in the later verses, they were so confident about the strength of their husband. The Nagapatnis were so confident about the strength of their husband that Kaliya will take care of, he has enough strength. He has enough strength to attack this boy. This boy is like a small cowhead boy. How can he go and, have this kind of power to attack my husband? Later, the same Nagapatnis were the first one to come and plead to the Lord that you are, here also we say, Adya. Here he says that the Adya Shakti is the Shakti from which everything comes. He is the primary source of all Shakti, primary source of all energy. So they will also come and, praise in the next few verses that you are everything, you are source of everything, you are absolute truth. And, please protect my husband. He was so childish. Bala Buddhi. He has a Bala Buddhi. See, only who have Bala Buddhi want to, fight with Krishna. That is called childish mentality. Bala Buddhi. So once we have Bala Buddhi, we want to fight with Krishna. If we have proper Buddhi, then we will think that we cannot fight against Krishna like what Kaliya understood. So the point is, Krishna will anyway make us surrender to him. That's what he says in Bhagavad Gita also. Either by time, that is our Kala, or by our Mrityu, by death, he will anyway make us surrender to him. Like how he made Kaliya forcibly surrender to his, bow down to his lotus feet. It is more, it becomes very, very not, pleasing to be forcibly made by Krishna to surrender to him. So, if you want to be pleased, if you want to have a little more smoother way, better we actually ourselves surrender to Krishna. Otherwise, we will be hypnotized anyway. So Krishna is the greatest hypnotizer. And if you think that we can actually hypnotize him through our intelligence, then wish you all the very best. Hare Krishna. Any comments, points, questions? Yeah. 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 Correct. Yeah. Yeah. He is Raso Vaisa, from which all the rasas come. All the 64 arts come from him. He knows how to dance. He knows how to dance even in a moving surface. There is this saying which he used to say in Tamil, that the person who, a dancer, after the dance event was asked, why didn't you perform well? He was telling that the floor was not proper. That's why I could not dance well. Same way, the Krishna didn't have any problem with the floor. The floor was moving. The floor was moving so fast, the hoots of Kaliya. Still he was so agile. He was the expert dancer that he could dance. And the last line of today's purport, it is actually beautifully mentioned. And this is why he is, what do you call this? Naika Karmakrit. That is this, one of his name in Vishnu Sahasranama called Naika Karmakrit. He doesn't do any activity for a single purpose. He does every activity for multiple purpose. So today what he was doing, here it again is mentioned in the last line, that he was dancing. The purpose was to subjugate Kaliya. And he was also pleasing the girls of Vrindavan so that they became fall in love with him. So it is the multiple purpose he is doing this wonderful dance there. So he is an expert dancer as well. Yeah. So till that time he was again hypnotizing the people who were standing on the banks of Yamuna by his dance also. That is the beauty of him. Great. Yeah. 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 Yeah, true. That's true. Hare Krishna. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.